So let's just talk about data types, user defined and the abstract types. So the data type defines the kind of data that a variable can hold and also the operations that are allowed on that data. So here we have two key points. First of all, set of values that can be stored, and secondly, the operations that are allowed on a data type. So like an example, in case of integer, so the integer can store whole numbers like 2, 3, but it cannot store fractional numbers. Where in case of float, it can store fractional numbers like 1.2, 3.4 and so on. And also the operations, like an example, the integer, so we can use the integer and we can perform any type of operations. Where in case of float, so the float data type cannot perform the bitwise or the modulus operation. So these two operations are not allowed on the float data type. So a data type is not just about the kind of data that it stores, but also what can be done with that data. So let's now talk about the user defined data type, or it is called the UDTs. So the user defined data type or UDTs, so these are custom types that are created by the user to model more complex data. So previously we have known about the primitive type. So these are the primitive types are like the integer, character or the float type. So these are primitive types. Now the user can create complex data types using those primitive types. So here in the user defined data type, the user can define the structure and the operations that can be allowed on those data types. So like an example, the structure is one user defined data type and it combines multiple variables. So here it combines multiple variables under one logical unit. So here you can see it groups two integer, the x and y. So this is the structure. Similarly also we have the union, which is similar to the structure, but in union all the members share the memory and only one member can hold a value at a time. And also we have the enumeration. So this is one example of the enumeration. So the enumeration creates a set of named integral constant. So here all of these are constants. So these are the examples of user defined data type, and the significance of the user defined data type is that so the user defined data type enable code reusability, and this way we can better organize our code by grouping related data type under one single name. And secondly, here the user has the flexibility to create types that match the real world entity. So we're done with the user defined data type. So let's now talk about the abstract data type or ADT. So here it defines the data and the operation that can be performed on the data, but it does not specify how the operations will be implemented. So here it focuses on what needs to be done, but not how that needs to be done. So like an example, a stack. So the stack is a collection of elements arranged in a last in first out manner. So here it follows the LIFO. So the stack is a data structure where we can push elements into the stack and we can remove the elements using the pop. So here it follows last in first out. That means we can push elements like we can push A and then B and then we can push C. Now whenever we remove the element, so the last element that we have pushed, that will be removed first. So last in first out. So whichever element that is pushed or added last will be removed first. So the stack is a abstract data type. Here we have operations that we can perform on the stack. Like an example, we can perform the initialize, so that will prepare the stack for use. We have the push. So the push is used to insert element into the stack. We have the pop. So the pop is used to remove elements from the top of the stack. and also we can perform the operations to check whether the stack is empty, or we can also check whether the stack is full or not. So these are all the operations that we can perform on this stack, but here the implementation or the how is hidden. So the operations are clearly mentioned that we can perform, but how those operations will be implemented, that are hidden. So here we can implement the stack. So either we can use one array to implement the stack, or we can use the linked list to implement the stack. So the operations are clearly mentioned, but the implementation is hidden from the user. So the abstract data type separate interface from implementation. So here the user knows how to interact with the stack. So the user can use the push, the user can use the pop to interact with the stack, but the user does not need to know whether the stack is implemented using the array or the linked list. So like an example, the user can create one stack, and then the user can push A, the A will be pushed, then the user will push B, then the B will be pushed into the stack, and then it can push the C, so the C will be pushed into the stack, and then the user can use the pop method, so the top element of the stack will be removed. So here the user can easily perform all the operations on the stack, but the user does not need to know whether the internal logic is implemented using the array or the linked list. So because of this, here the developers has the flexibility. So the developers can either use array or the developers can use the linked list, but this will not affect the client's ability to perform all of these operations. So let's now talk about few of the advantages of the abstract data type. So first of all, here we have the encapsulation. So because in abstract data type the internal details are hidden from the users, so because of this, here we have better data security and also the integrity. So the users can perform operations without modifying or accessing the internal data structure. So secondly, we have the flexibility. So because here the implementation can be changed. So like an example, in case of the stack, so the stack can be implemented either using one array, or it can be implemented using one linked list, and this will not affect the client's program or the client's ability to perform the operations. And thirdly, here we have the code reusability. So because once we have created one abstract data type, so that can be used across multiple projects and programs. And fourthly, here we have the simplicity. So because the client will only focus on the operations that are available, they do not care about how they will be implemented. So this simplifies the development, and it will reduce the error, and also it will improve the productivity. So hope you understand about the advantages and also the abstract data type and the user defined data type. So hope you understand the concept. See you in the next one. Take care.